In this special edition episode of the Rowdy Boys, we have on Steven Summers. Now, Steven is a partner in Marketplace Superheroes, GrowMyReach.com, and also a host of other businesses, generally all-around business baller, and we're lucky enough to have him on here. He drops some crazy knowledge bombs. You're going to hear about how he ascends 25% of his front-end customers up to the back end, how he sold about 1,600 or more $6,000 programs over the last few years. He talks about an against-the-grain pricing structure that most people think would not work, but actually ends up converting more customers and keeping them on for longer, so you're going to love that. We talk about the upcoming recession, how he thinks about that, and a whole host of other really awesome subjects. You guys are going to love this episode. It's a very special one to us, so stay tuned. You guys are going to love this one. Cheers.
What's up, guys? Devin Zander here with my co-host,
Clayton Johnson.
And we are the
Rowdy Boys.
Motherfucking Rowdy Boys. That's right. Today, we have someone much more handsome than us on call today because we were like, wow, I bet we came back to YouTube, we came back to podcast world, and it's like, yeah, we have content, but people don't want to watch our videos because we're ugly. Steven, that's why we brought you here today. Not because you're one of the best marketers on the planet, not because you make ridiculous amounts of money, not because you have a great company and you know how to brand all those great things. It's just because you look so damn good. Steven, how you doing today, Steven?
I'm doing well, but a lot of my buddies tell me that I need a beard like yourself, Devin. I try and Clayton, sorry. And I tried to grow one, but my wife told me the beard's got to go. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. We do have a course. We do have a new $9.97 course, and it's called the How to Get Your Wife on the Beard Club course. We're still working on the title.
Yeah, send me the link. I'm in.
Well, yeah, the first section is how to get your wife okay with your beard, because we saw that was like a big sticking point. It was an objection we had to overcome.
Exactly.
And we figured it out. We made a software actually where no, I'm just kidding. But let's get into it. Steven, I want to be respectful of your time, man. You're a busy man. Can you just really quick give us a brief overview of who you are, what you do, and all that good things, and then we'll get into some nice sexual content.
Not a problem. I'll keep it short. So yeah, I run a number of different businesses. Probably best known for a company called Marketplace Superheroes. We teach people all over the world how to build a business selling on Amazon. We teach people how to sell their own branded products on there, and we also teach other things like the wholesale model, where you can sell pre-existing brands and stuff like that. So we have a lot going on there. Connected to that, then we do offer a lot of different services to our clients. So we have a freight company. We have warehouse in like US, UK, Canada, Australia. And then we've got a new business this year called Grow My Reach. And that business really works with course creators, online businesses really. And we teach the different things that I've learned after doing this stuff for 12 years now, and bringing together like so many different methodologies and bringing it into one place. That's what Grow My Reach is all about. So that's it. We do very well. I will learn from smart people like yourselves, and here today to talk about marketing. So what a great day.
Hell yeah, let's have some fun. And guys, if you do want to learn more from Steven, because he's probably going to drop some knowledge bombs. I learn from Steven all the time. He's actually been a huge mentor to me, my career, and how I guide marketing and customer interaction at our company at SCUP, and what we're doing at Roseanne now as well. So I think it's safe to say you guys are going to want to hear more from him. So at the end, we're probably going to drop a link or something. And if you don't have a link ready, Steven, we can just put it in and post. Like, we'll put the URL up on the screen for everyone, so you can sign up to Steven's email list or something. And if you want to learn more about how they're generating buku bucks and doing a bunch of awesome shit, we'll give you the opportunity to do so. Clayton, though, this man over here, this beautiful, handsome man, we are in a room together. Look at this. I'm touching him. Clayton has Clayton does have questions that we prepared for you. We are professionals. We are totally prepared. So Clayton, why don't you, let's get into some of these questions, man.
Yeah. Okay. So Steven,
yes,
if you can rewind back, we have a pretty wide audience. We have beginners, we got people that are crushing it, and
got dogs, grandmas, one squirrel, just looking to get a nut. You know what I'm saying?
I would love to hear from you. Like, what is this story about how you made your first dollar up through, really the question is how you made your first $1 million, but I would love to hear the beginning when you made your first dollar.
And I think some good clarification here though is in your direct response marketing company.
Yeah,
too. If you made your first $1 million stripping or something, that wouldn't be too useful for our audience.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I can tell you in 2014, that's whenever myself and Robert Rickey, my business partner, we said we were going to start teaching people how to sell on Amazon. He was doing it for a long time. I had learned from him for about 4 years, and we had a really successful business doing that. But we had no email list, we had no connections, just two weird Irish guys. Oh, we're still weird, but we were even weirder back then.
No longer Irish.
Yeah, no longer Irish. We're citizens of the world now. But back then, like we had nothing, no assets or anything. And so what I did was, I'm going to tell you my strategy. I was like, how am I going to get some clients to come and take our program, which wasn't even created? So what I did was, I was in a group called Platinum by a guy called Ryan Lee. Ryan's still a really good friend of mine. I actually made a course with Ryan a couple of years ago, and I was learning from him at the time, direct response marketing and all of that. And so what I did was, I just started posting in that Facebook group the journey that I was on, talking about the fact I was creating a webinar and stuff like that around how we got the result that we had with our Amazon business. And what was so interesting was so many people in that group, because the Amazon opportunity at the time was a lot newer. They were like, oh, I'm really interested. Like, how did you do that? Or how do you guys do it? And so from there, we created a whole bunch of calls where I literally called everybody one-to-one, and we sold a beta version of our Amazon training for, I think, $500. We made the MVP, the minimum viable product, on a tool it was actually called Use Fedora at the time. And that is now teachable.
Okay.
Teachable.
Oh,
wow,
shit.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. So the guy, Anchor was his name, started that. And I heard about it on AppSumo, and I was like, oh, great. Something for free, because we had no money. We had money, but not that much money to start a full media business. So that's how I got my first start, selling like that. And then Robert and I said to each other, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to do the one-to-one calls anymore? So that then led us down the path to creating a webinar. Then next year we had a big breakthrough. I'm not sure if you want to get into that, but we had a big breakthrough the next year, which really grew the company, which I can certainly get into now or later, whatever you want.
Yeah, man. I want to
cool.
know how you got that first million.
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you that. That's no
Yeah.
problem. Okay, so when we did what I just said, we sold one-to-one. I'd have to go back and look because it's a while back, but we probably did, 20 to 50 grand, something like that, just going that way. So the second thing we did before we launched our webinars is we started going guesting on podcasts. And the kind of third thing that was attached to that was we actually just started properly teaching different groups. So like, for instance, there was a company at the time called Startup Bros. They're still going, I believe. I don't really know Will who runs it, but I think he was the guy who founded that company. I was connected to another guy in there. We all met in this AppSumo group at the time. And so we were like, hey, we could teach your audience how we do the Amazon thing. So they were like, oh yeah, come on, do it. So we were teaching groups, not pitching anything. We were getting on podcasts, and we're starting to build a bit of organic traffic back to our website. So we had a very basic free opt-in at the time. I'd have to go back into the Wayback Machine to look at that. But it was really basic about how to get started selling on Amazon. And so we did that for a while. And as I say, the webinar was the next big thing, because I'd heard a lot of people were having success with that strategy. And so I did my initial training with a guy called David Siteman Garland. He's out of the game now, but he had a great course with a guy called John Richardson. And it was all about basically writing your first webinar. So we did that, and we built up a bit of an organic list through the strategies that I was talking about. So again, we jumped on there, we started selling it, and we actually did pretty well. We started selling some courses, and it was a real celebration for us at the time, because it was like, wow, we just did whatever, 10 or 12 grand, overnight selling a digital program. It was really exciting, because myself and Robert, we always sold physical items up until then.
Yeah.
And that was a breakthrough. But where we got the big breakthrough was we started running some Facebook ads with a guy called David Schloss, who still actually runs our Facebook ads.
Yeah.
David's a great guy. And so we started doing like live webinars every Thursday. And we would run the ads right up until the Thursday. Then on the Friday, it would automatically change. It would just change the information on the page to the next Thursday. And then the ads would keep running that way. Is how we ran that show. And we did well. We would do a webinar and we would sell, I don't know, 5 or 6, spots in our programs. We maybe spent four, maybe we had about 300 or 400 people register per webinar. So we weren't like converting incredibly well, but enough that it was like, hey, we're breaking even, we're doing okay. And then
And you're
we had
generating leads.
say that again.
Said, and you're generating a ton of leads too for like
Absolutely.
basically free.
Absolutely. So in 2015, after like I cannot tell you how many webinars I did though in that time where we sold
Me
nothing.
too, at least.
Like
Oh, wait,
nothing, and
we
we
were
were
sold
just
nothing.
getting leads. Yes, just leads, nothing else. And that was tough because we used to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning because we were in Ireland and
Oh
we would get
yeah.
up to the US audience. So I would do the webinar at 2 o'clock in the morning every Thursday. I would do it up in Northern Ireland, and then I would drive 2 hours home after the webinar. So I would get into bed about 6:30 a.m. and just sleep for a good few hours, and then hope that like the replay and all would take over and we would make sales. So we did that for a number of months, probably 9 months or so. And in 2015, in March 2015 to be specific, we got our first kind of stroke of good fortune. So I mentioned David Schloss. I met him in
Yeah.
2014 at an event in Florida. Actually, it was a really good event, and he had been running the ads. And he introduced me to this guy. I don't think you'll mind me saying the guy called Jay Boyer. So Jay was a pretty big affiliate in the Amazon space at the time. Still is a pretty big affiliate to this day. And I just had a chat with him, and he really liked what we were doing with our Amazon program. He loved the fact we had a lot of different differentiating factors. Like you guys talk a lot about having a unique mechanism in your program, which again,
Yep.
I revisited myself because it's something that I also teach. But it's funny when you learn from others, you keep revisiting the things you think you know. So we had a lot of very good, unique mechanisms at the time. And basically, Jay agreed to promote us ahead of our main competitor. And this was a breakthrough moment because we started Marketplace from nothing in April 2014. Now it's March 2015. We have this webinar, and I think he registered. We didn't get the leads. I think it was over 3,000 people registered. And
Yeah.
I
Boom.
think
Yeah.
at the end of it all, we sold over 300. And that was like the
Wow.
moment that from there we just shot. Like that year, we hit the million. And it just was off the back of a shitload of hard work, failing on webinars, uh, constantly questioning like, why are things not working? Oh yeah, you can't teach in a webinar. You've got to tell stories. And then like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? What the hell are you talking about? And then of course, we got there. So that's kind of where the big lift off was for us.
So
Dude, I love that. It's like you kind of started organic, putting a lot of value out there, trying things. Then you had a couple breakthroughs, took it to paid, then took it to like a big affiliate. And what started as, you know, something didn't know where it was gonna go, accelerated real fast. And it took a little while for you to get there.
Yeah,
uh,
well, it's funny you say that. My business partner, Robert, at the time asked me, what would you be happy making from Marketplace Superheroes in the lifetime of it? What would be good? I'm not sure. What would you be happy with? He's like, if I got 300,000 out of this, I'd be happy. Like,
and you
and that
smashed it.
showed us our vision was very small because I had another friend who I think you guys know, Dave Miz, right?
Yeah.
And Dave said to me, Steven, I'm looking at what you're doing, and I'm pretty sure you guys can hit 30 grand a week doing what you're doing, and you're doing a lot of good in the world. And I was like, what, really? 30 grand a week revenue? What? And then, of course, it wasn't long before we were there. And that was just it was a bit of a holy shit moment because we'd never done anything like that before. I was studying it, but I'd never done it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you went from, you did 300,000 on that webinar, right? And I assume so probably like a 50-ish or 60% split, something like that. So you guys maybe took home like 150-ish from that. Is that safe to
Yeah.
say? Now,
Yeah, it was
so
about
where
that. Yeah.
so I'm just curious, like what else changed, right? Because you're saying that this is your first $1 million year, you're kind of breaking even on cold traffic. And you got this stroke of boom, it is working. We got an affiliate, it's proven that this does work. What was like the big thing that took you from that to like actually starting to crush it on your own with the offer, maybe without affiliates?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just really then we took that money and we put it back into advertising. And then we kept on questioning. I kept on questioning, like, how can I make the presentation better? How can I make the outro better, and all of that? And I suppose the other thing that we kept doing was really what we were doing was we were just running the one offer, and we
Yeah.
were focused more so on acquiring more leads and more clients. So we were going through what Mark Ford calls your OSS, your optimum selling strategy, right? What is that? So that was what it was. It was getting people onto a live webinar. It was doing the outro and all of that, and then going on to the next week and getting more leads, more prospects, and keeping that engine going. And I think the other thing that really added to it then was we then did start to offer one or two other things to our people who had bought. But I would say the biggest thing was keeping the engine going every week with paid ads. But the second thing then was actually offering an evergreen version to our leads with some very simple kind of Seinfeld type emails. In other words, emails that are about nothing, very much in the Ben Settle style at the time is
Just
what I was doing a
entertaining.
lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. We're super big on email marketing as well. But I'm
Yeah.
curious. I love, people have these like slam dunk stories and like crushing it all the time. But I really like to hear about, the struggles, because it's not always like crushing it constantly.
No.
So I'm curious, in your opinion, what did you do? Like, some people start their horse business and they kind of flounder. It never really takes off. What's the difference between
Yeah.
what what most people do and then what you did? Like, how did you get
Yeah.
through? Was there hard times,
Yeah.
or was it just like constantly crushing? Or what was it like?
I would say for the first few years, it was pretty plain sailing in many ways. It was just growing at a pretty like steady rate every single year. And it was just quite a simple business. We didn't have much overhead or anything like that. So there wasn't that much struggle there. I've had lots, and I'll talk about that, no problem. At that time, it wasn't a big kind of struggle fest. I think the hard times were when I started to deviate from, say, the webinars, and I would test different things at webinars that wouldn't work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you can forget the fundamentals of what made something work. And I think that happened to me with the webinars for a period of time. I kind of kept testing and tweaking, and they call it, gradual degradation, where the initial webinar and then what it turned into, we lost the essence of what actually made the webinar really work. I remember
Yeah.
failing for quite a while because it just wasn't working. I was like, why the hell not? And so what I did that was different to, I think, what most other people do is I studied multiple webinar training programs again and again and again and again and again and again, to the point where I could teach you pretty much anybody's webinar process as well, if not better than what they could teach it. I
Yeah.
watched countless webinars, I collected them, and I just kept on asking myself, what's the difference between what they've got and what I've got? Because even now with you guys this year, I learned that lesson from you guys. Even I wrote an ad. I was learning that process from you guys for YouTube, and I sent it to you guys, and you went, "No, Stephen, it's not right. It's wrong." And I thought I was doing it the right way, quote unquote. But when someone points it out to you, you're like, "Yeah, it's completely wrong." So there was a lot of that, I had to do it myself because I had no one who was way ahead of me to do it for me.
I think something interesting too that people should take a look at when they're kind of studying what other people do. And one of my mentors told me this once, which I thought was really interesting because everyone is always obsessed, well, like with what are they doing that I'm not doing, right?
Yeah,
And they challenged me to ask, instead of saying that, what are they not doing that I'm doing, right? Because a lot of the times we can overcomplicate, we do things that we don't necessarily need to do, blah, 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 stuff like that. So it's like, for instance, right? You said that you focused on your OSS. What does that stand for again?
optimum selling strategy.
Yeah, optimum selling strategy. So for instance, someone who isn't as successful as you and they're running like 10 different offers, 10 different ways, doing all these
Yeah,
things, right? And they're like, I don't understand it. I have such great products and I have so many of them. Why am I not extremely successful? I don't get it, right? And then they look at you and it's not about what you're doing that they aren't, it's what you aren't doing, right? Like you're
yeah,
not running 10 different
20 different offers.
strategies.
Yeah.
You're not like focusing on 20 different ways to sell your product. It's like you have a webinar, you're perfecting it, you're in there,
Yeah.
you're tweaking it every single day, making it better. And it's just like the death by 1,000 cuts, but it's like in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just making these small increments, just improving day over day. Just, they're tiny, but they compound, they add up. And
Yeah.
eventually, you got something that's crushing and making you ridiculous sums of money, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's the
100%.
when you're looking at your yeah, when you're looking at your finances, people always think like, "I don't get it. I'm not spending a ton of money." It's like there's no huge charges, and they sort their finances by amount spent, and it's just like, yeah, you might not be spending a lot at once on huge purchases, but have you considered all these tiny little micro things that are adding up?
Yes.
And you've taken something like that and you've used it to your advantage to create a webinar that took you to that $1 million mark, which is awesome.
Do you know what's funny though, guys? And I don't know, maybe other people watching or listening will feel the same way. But for me, like, whenever anybody mentions, like, what are the top courses in, like, say, the Amazon space, right? Like, our
Yeah.
name never came up, but yet we would have really successful clients doing really well. I think even now it's like, for me, like, I mean, I often look around and I see all these different people like talking a lot. And I look at their business, I'm like, these guys are full of shit. Like, these guys are really not. It's like the amount of times people tell me back then, even though I'm getting webinar registrants for like, $3, and I'm getting show up rates of like 35% and all this. And then my numbers just weren't aligning. I used to think to myself, am I just a piece of shit?
Am I just terrible? Yeah.
Am I no good at this? But as it turns out, no, like, just most people are full of crap, you know?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that too, because I was actually I'm in Alan Soltanich's mastermind, and he was having a conversation about this yesterday on the call. It's like usually the most successful people are the ones that you're not hearing about all the time. And then just like to give an example of this, right? Like look at V Shred, which is one of the biggest weight loss direct response offers, right? People think it's like that the guy that's in the ads that owns it. He's not the owner. He's just an
Yeah,
actor, right? Nobody knows who's really pulling the strings in the back end. And that's maybe like a bad example because everybody knows of V Shred. But dude, it's like it's the same thing. In our business, we were never if there was only like a small point in time where our course was really famous, and that's because we had Alex doing our
yeah,
ads, and everybody likes to talk about Alex. But typically we're just operating in the background in kind of not necessarily silence, but we're focusing on our target market. We're not like screaming out to the world we're the best. And there's actually a good quote about that where like the king is the guy who doesn't need to prove to other people he's the best or whatever, but
for sure.
kind of irrelevant. Um, anyways, I think this all brings us to like a really good point on how people can be like super successful without needing like there's courses out there like Amazing, which I'm sure was probably always your biggest competitor, right?
Yep.
Amazing selling machine. And they're generating ridiculous amounts of front end customers. And people like you and I, we're not generating that many, but we still, run 7, 8 figure businesses. And I
Yeah.
think it's because of how well we're able to ascend customers up our value ladder. So for anyone who doesn't know, a value ladder, it's super simple, right? You've got like your front end product, which could be like 997 or even 27, something like that. And then you just have more expensive products along the way. You're trying to make the most money or get the highest customer lifetime value from each customer. Steven,
Yeah.
I don't want to like, you know, make you get too big headed or anything, but you're probably the best person I've seen at this, at least based on what you've told me, from taking someone to a customer to buying all this. Like one day you opened up your ClickFunnels account and you showed me a customer who was worth like $45,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and you told me that your goal is to, for every person who buys your front end product, you want at least like 25 of them to ascend to your higher ticket coaching or something like that. So, Steven,
Not
you
quite,
do
but
it,
I'll try.
man. You're legendary. How is it that you're ascending customers like so reliably and just making these
Yeah.
customers love you and wanting to buy more from you?
Yeah, I actually, it's one of those things. I am pretty confident that it's something that we're really good at doing. What you just said. So,
Yeah.
I think the first thing to it though is just trust, and that's something that really in the online space is missing pretty heavily. And so trust is big, and how you build trust with your audience is you're just as transparent as you possibly can be. So trust is huge, and the way you get that is by being transparent. So even just recently, today, like at the time of recording, we have a new offer that we're putting together. It's like a done for you type offer for products. And I told people we launched this in the past, and actually we made a big mistake when we launched it before. We actually let too many people come into it. It overwhelmed their systems, and unfortunately for some people, we didn't give them the experience that they deserve. All right. And straight away, one client came in and said, I can't believe you're owning up to a mistake that you made. Because we do make mistakes in our business. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, we've
Yeah.
made me. And so I think that's one of the things is like just being really open and honest and transparent with your audience is key number one. I think it was Stephen M.R. Covey, who is the son of Stephen Covey, who wrote the Habits of Successful People, 7 Habits of Highly Successful, or 8 Habits. I can't remember. There's Habits of Highly Successful People, and basically he said like businesses that have trust will sell 300% more than businesses that they don't have any trust or don't have very little trust. So when you're transparent, you have that trust, you have a massive leg up over your competition, and also you're giving your clients the comfort that if they do in fact purchase something else from you, that they're going to be well taken care of, all is going to be well. That's just like a background conversation. The other thing I will say we found that worked the best was we ran a high ticket funnel on Facebook for quite a while, because the idea was, well, if we sell something that's higher ticket, it's easier for us to not only break even but make some money in the front end, et cetera, right? We know that equation. What ended up happening was, because of the type of opportunity we have, or maybe we're just no good, but I think because of the type of opportunity we have, it didn't suit like an average person to just come in. I don't mean an average person, you know what I'm saying? Like a non-business person, just come in and go, oh, well, look, a free case study about selling on Amazon. Oh yeah, amazing. Let me apply for that and let me straight away join for $6,000, right? So what we found was much more successful was having someone join our main front end program for $1,000 or $97 by 12. Everyone told me we were crazy to do it. It was a big success for us. And those people would then upgrade to coaching. So what we found was, to give you the numbers, 20 to 25% of the people that joined our core main program would upgrade at one point or another to a $6,000 coaching program.
That's insane, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, and what we've recently done, just to add to that, is we've actually completely changed our coaching model to actually make it recurring in nature now. Because the biggest mistake we made, and I'll happily tell you, the biggest mistake we ever made was we sold 1,600 $6,000 programs, right? And then there's nothing else, because that's it. You had, and then we positioned it as a year-long thing. You get calls for a year, you get this year for a year, and then that's it. That's a major mistake. Like, and in our business, just to say the high ticket, $25,000, we've done that, and it does work. But what I have found in our particular opportunity, that it's hard to get a lot of people at that level, because there's a lot of capital investment up front, and it takes time to be successful with the opportunity that we have. So kind of coming around, like what I want to say here is that every business is a little bit different. And I think it's important to draw upon success factors, but understand like your prospect and client, they'll want to join different things for different reasons. So we have just got really good at not only offering, say, coaching, but other things like a virtual boot camp that helps people get their first product. And it's something that people can buy for $500 up to $2,000. But it's an opportunity in the middle that if you didn't have it there, then those people wouldn't be served because maybe they're not ready for coaching yet. So that's been the big thing, is like find the big macro problem in your business that you help solve, and you can create smaller kind of mid-ticket opportunities. You can have your coaching program. Your mid-ticket opportunities can lead to your coaching program. Obviously, we went a little too far at one point with too many of these things. Like if you have a main offer, a coaching program, a higher end coaching program, and a few offers in the middle to string those together, That's a really good business there.
Yeah, you kind of like strayed away from that original thing that made you successful, right? Where you had like one core offer and you're really focusing on that. And now you have like one core, whatever, value ladder or whatever it is, but you built so many things, kind of strayed away from that. So I have a few questions here. The first one I want to get to is just because you had just mentioned it. And this is the reason I bring this up is because it's something I want our viewers to consider too.
Yeah.
So coming from, like a software background and working at a software company these past few years, I'm always playing around with the idea of recurring CLTV and like, how can I maximize our customer lifetime value? So my question to you is, right, like with a coaching program, your goal is to get the highest customer lifetime value possible per person, right? And so now, since you guys are switching to the recurring model, and this is a conversation we've had internally at SCUP as well, it's like, well, we could charge $500 a month, let's say, or we could charge $1,000 a month. And then the question is how long do they stick around, right? So are you guys like, you think that by switching to a recurring model, essentially you'll keep people around long enough to beat out that $6,000 customer lifetime value? Because it's nice to have recurring, but at the same time, like, is it vanity or is it actually better,
Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see, to be honest. Like we made that switch this year, but let me just tell you, let me give you another way I looked at that. So let's say you've 1,600 things that you've sold, right? Could you keep 20%? Could you lose 80% but keep 20%? And they all come through, like, I mean, could they all come through and still be left over with that? That's kind of the thing that we've looked at, and we don't know the answer to that. We'll have to wait and see. But all I can tell you is we spoke to our clients, and we had so many clients who went through the year-long program and said, I actually wanted more. So they were asking for additional coaching calls and stuff like that. But just selling coaching calls, like it's too transactional. It's not a great business. So we found that people asking us for it, number one. I think number two, I kind of look at it and say, I got to be honest, like people, they don't know everything they need to know in our business in a year. And I wish they did, but they just don't, because if you're a complete beginner, you've never had a business before, you're just not going to master it inside a year. Most people aren't anyway. So I think we led a little bit less with maybe what's good for us and a little bit more what's good for the client. And then we'll have to wait and see. It could be a mistake. And if it's a mistake, it's easy to switch back to the other model. But I have a good feeling it's the right way. And so far, we're doing it now about 4 months now. We've had like maybe not even 1% people cancel yet. So,
that's amazing.
It's a good start. Good start. But
how much are you guys charging monthly?
So we charge 2 different price points. And that's another big thing I want to tell everyone today. If possible, have more than one price point. In certain, not everywhere, but in certain parts of your business, we have found that's worked well. Some people may not. Maybe it's the worst thing for them, but we just found that we actually had a $500 per month, or you could pay per quarter, or we had $995 per month, or you could pay per quarter and get a little bit of discount. And basically at the 2 different levels, there's obviously you just get more of different bits and pieces and some other stuff, some accountability stuff, and that in the higher end thing. And really, the way we structure that offer is that there's basically some group coaching element to it. There's some one-to-one element to it. So we have about 8 coaches now who work with us. So that's something that not everybody's going to be able to do. We also have a community aspect to it, which is very important. We use Slack currently for that. We got off Facebook. We're looking at things like Circle and a couple of others, but we never really landed on something that we really like. So we use Slack currently, but we'll probably
that's tough.
Yeah. And then there's other elements to it as well. So really, like the whole idea is that I don't say it's coaching. I always want to position it as partnering. Right? Because if you position it as partnering, I then say you're a non-equity partnership. We're not taking any percentage in your business. We're just asking you to put a little bit of money into the till. That's going to enable us to operate, and then you go and be successful, and we won't take any of your company. And so this is the kind of conversation I like to have. I think in the internet marketing industry, at times, coaching doesn't always mean people get coached. Like,
Yeah. That's
and
just a blanket word for something that's more expensive than a course.
yeah, exactly, right? Whereas we've taken a lot of effort to like have you get a one-to-one coach. We came up with this thing this year we call it airtime, which I'll tell you, which is basically we used to do it would be like you can have 1 or 2 calls a month, right? Depending on what you want to do. Whereas we said, no, like
Yeah.
why are we telling people how long a call should be? So our coaches are really cool. We have schedule once, count, and basically what they do is they can book in 20-minute increments. So if you have 60 minutes of airtime a month, you can book as much as 3 calls in a month. But if you only use 40 minutes of it, the 20 minutes will roll on to the next month. So you'll build up a bit of additional time.
Pretty cool.
As long as you have an active subscription, you can continue to get access to that. Whereas if you don't have an active subscription, you would lose all the time you've built up. So there's an element of stickiness in that because you've built all this up
Yeah, I like
and you'll
that.
lose if you cancel your coaching program.
That's really cool. What are you guys using to track that? Just like Excel or something really cool?
At the moment, we're using Acuity, scheduling tool, and honestly, like we need to. We're working on that internally. Like we're doing it with
Yeah.
team at the moment. It's not ideal. Coaches fill in a sheet and things like that, but really, like there's nothing out there that was. We did a big research on this, and it's definitely an opportunity. By the way, if someone can do it, because I mean, by the time
Yeah.
it'll be a great business. But yeah.
Dude, well, who am I to question the fucking master? Because honestly, if you guys are charging $1,000 a month, you've only lost like 1%, and it's already been 4 months. I think you're gonna win out the CLTV here. I think you guys made the right choice. It looks like this is gonna be a bit more for bang for your buck for each customer.
We'll see.
And I just want everyone. You said you sold 1,600 copies of the $6,000 offer before this.
Yeah, and funny, do you know, when we first met Devin, we met over in New York at a mastermind, and Sam
Yeah.
Ovens, actually, the man, the myth, the legend, was there in 2018, and he was the guy who's obviously whatever encouraged or inspired a lot of people. But definitely, when I
Yeah.
spoke to him that day, it definitely encouraged me a lot in that area, and we went after it then. So since then, we sold 1,600. Yeah.
To put that in perspective for everyone, that's like about $10 million, $9.6 million. So that's pretty fucking awesome, dude. I'm gonna say we have not sold that many coaching. We're like, we just started doing it last year, but we're like 10% of the way to where you are. So
Well,
I got a
congrats.
lot to learn from you, man. Hey, thanks.
I'm learning from you.
So, dude, that's honestly sick, and I hope everyone really takes it seriously. But I want to get a little more into the nitty gritty of this here because
Sure.
you're saying that you found out that if they buy the front end product, they're more likely to buy the coaching, right? And you're selling 20 to 25% of people. So if you sold 1,600, let's just say you sold 10,000 front end courses, then, right? Somewhere around there.
Yep.
Now I'm curious, like, what is, and I'm only using this word because I feel like there's not a better word for it, but like,
Sure.
how are you indoctrinating people, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do they go from front end customer to being that $6,000 customer, right? There's got to be little steps, like little things
And how
you're having them,
quickly too.
little
Yeah.
things that
Yes.
you have them doing along
Yeah.
the way. So what are those?
It's funny you say that because we've actually been revisiting that this year because one of the things that I got to really point out and don't ever let your front end you know become less of a focus, and we definitely did that. Certainly last year we were really last 2 years I'd say we're super back end focused, doing really well, but just not had the focus at the front end. And we're changing that this year. Again, a lot of that with your guys' help also. Learning a lot from you guys in that area, which is great. And definitely check out the guys' program. It's awesome. But just to say, so what we do is we have a KLT sequence we call it, a no like trust sequence. I learned this from Caleb O'Dowd, a good friend of mine. And it's a very simple 9-day like email sequence that they go through after they do this thing I'm about to tell you. So I'm going to tell you something, right? Another thing, I'm dropping a lot of the bits today, which I hope people are picking up
The
on.
secret knowledge. You
That's
only
right.
see this in occult books, ladies and gentlemen, lost for centuries.
Exactly. So listen up.
Only on the Rowdy Boys podcast. Yeah.
So one of the things that has been so successful for us is have a really good organic lead generation flow, right? So when people come to marketplacesuperheroes.com, so if I'm on podcasts, again, something I still do to this day, here I am again, right? It's a great strategy. But one of the things we do is you go to marketplacesuperheroes.com, There's basically nothing on there, but there's a button that says get the free training. We then have this thing called our 7-day masterclass. That is a critical funnel for us. So we sell a $10 little thing there. You register for free. You're going to get 7 days of content, which are basically taking the big blocks of how to be successful on Amazon and giving you videos on that. Like, how much can I make? How long does it take to be successful? How does it all work? How does product research work? The things that people kind of want to know. You get 7 days of that. But the minute you register, we offer you an opportunity to buy something for $10. We just call it the Vault. And literally, what the Vault is, it's really good. But we literally took loads of our YouTube videos. We took out all of the YouTube stuff. And we just put it into a Vault. So it's like a little taster of what we're about. So people buy it for $10. Then if they buy for $10, we offer them a trial to our main program, right? So if they take the trial, I think it's 7 or 14 days for free. And then obviously if they like it, they'll go into a monthly recurring for 97 by 12 currently. That may change, but currently that's what we're doing. And that's kind of that. If they don't take the $10 offer, or if they don't take the trial, then what we do is we bring them through the 7 days, and then we plug in this little KLT sequence, which is really just a little sequence where it's introducing me, introducing Robert, giving you some free guides. There's lots of free, useful little gifts for like 9 days. And then after that, honestly, at the moment, we're a little bit weak on the weak side. As they go into our main broadcast list at that point, what will happen, and I'm currently building, we have 2 tracks. We have a wholesale track and we have a private label track. Depending on what you come in on, traffic source, we will offer you our main offer, depending on the track you're in. And we'll have an outro sequence, the whole lot. And then we will have about 3 months of automated sequences that will offer you the thing that you didn't buy yet, but in a number of different ways. So we'll have like a guide that goes to maybe a VSL.
Oh yeah, you're telling me about this.
Yeah, we'll have another thing. We'll have this or that, and we'll have all these different things. We'll try another, I don't know, like a 5-day challenge. We'll have lots of different pieces anyway. And the idea is that, and I can tell you this from experience, like if you do sell something low ticket, people used to slag off low ticket purchases all the time. Oh, but we're attracting the wrong clients and all this crap, right? Absolute nonsense. Because you create a buyer. I've seen so many people start at $7 or $10 and work their way up with us to the top level. So that's all bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, I agree with you. And I think that, I learned a lot from you just on those initial calls. And that was like one of the key things. And it's something that, I mean, you haven't really mentioned yet. I want to ask a question really quick, just based off what you said though. So you guys are running the free trial for your front end, like $9.97 offer. I think that's pretty sick. It's something I've always wanted to mess around with, but I've been a little too scared of it, which probably means I'm like not proud of my product, or I have some weird, like things about it.
Why not do it?
My question to you, I'm going to try it out, but my question to you is, how many people, like, what is your trial to paid conversion rate on that?
Yeah, I looked it on Stripe recently, and I believe it's in around 65% stay on. So obviously 35% don't stay on. And then after that, I'd be honest and say difficult with the way, and that's something I'm working on with you guys. Our data on that is not as good as I'd like it to be, but all we've done is we've done a lot of kind of manual data dives in the past, and what we found was that people were worth about $750 on average. But that's something that we're improving, working with you guys as well and learning, because you guys are better than I am at that. So there's lots of areas that like we built this big business, but ultimately like there was a time in our business where we've ran it on. We just kind of know anecdotally we're in the right spot, which is not good.
It seems like things are going well.
Yeah, but you gotta it's so funny. Like I showed you that person that we mentioned, right? That client who was over with us at an event recently, a mastermind event, this guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing too that we haven't mentioned yet here, which has brought up our lifetime value so much, is we do have a lot of different services that we offer that are connected to the opportunity that we're talking about. So I'll tell you one piece of advice today. never start a freight company. Now that we have that, out of the way,
Something
now
I
that
was
we have
never
that out of
worried
the
about.
way. But look, like I'm happy to tell people because our clients, they know, like, our freight company ships millions of items every year. It was a fantastic idea. We were flying and rocking and rolling. And obviously, COVID, like, our freight rates skyrocketed 800% almost overnight. We're
Wow,
still
wow, wow.
still operating now. The freight company's still operating and doing well, but the problem with it is that because of that, it kind of messed us up for a little while. But anyway, point is that those additional businesses were smart, but the problem with our freight company has always
Yeah.
been we've been too successful. I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you
You're
have a
shipping
freight
too
company,
much freight.
yeah, because you're storing it. So the problem is you can't move the back wall. There's no way to do it. So you can't just keep doing that with the building. So I cannot tell you guys, like, we opened up a Canadian warehouse a while back, and before we got the keys to the warehouse, it was full. Like that and
Wow.
that's the difficulty of when you're successful, and you're bringing people on the journey with you. And services like that are challenging. The
Yeah.
better services are ones that it's very simple. Like, for instance, we have a trademark service. We have a partnership with an attorney
A lawyer.
does all
Yeah.
that work for us and things like that. So they're all really nice. But definitely, like, I mean, I think the other side of it too is you can try to do too many things at times. So we've had to bring in now a lot of senior team to manage these different divisions so that, it's all been taken care of correctly.
And I found too, and I don't know if you guys had this issue, but when we were building so many different softwares at one point in Scup's lifetime that I'm like, okay, we have so many different products now that I have no idea which ones I should be promoting. And then I would
100%.
end up promoting nothing. And I was so stressed out.
Well, I 100%, and I mean, even now we're figuring some of that out. I had a bit of an epiphany
Yeah.
recently as to how to do that, but man, like, 100%. And all you can do is, in my opinion, is understand there's two sides to your business. You've got your prospects and you got your people who bought something from you. And one of the things that I learned from Dan Kennedy, which I thought was really interesting, and we do this now, is your buyer list. You can break that up into loads of different segments of people that have different goals. So, for instance, in our business, there's an avatar in our business that wants a business that's fast to set up, it's low risk, and it doesn't have high startup costs. There's another avatar who is like saying, "Well, look, I've got some money. I want to invest. I want to build a real business. I want to build my own brand. I don't want to sell somebody else's thing that's only around for maybe a little while." So, like, there's that, and then even with the people who want to invest more, there's other people in there. There's people who will say, "Well, I want to do it myself." There's people who will say, "I really
Yeah.
want you to do it for me." And what you kind of got to determine as the business owner is how many segments are there? What's the opportunity of each segment? And then how am I going to promote each segment? And usually I've found putting it the message just attracts the correct person. I know it's marketing 101. We all forget that. The right message attracts the right person. And then you might do a webinar and there's 100 people there, but then that webinar could be worth 200 grand to you because your offer at the other side is chunky.
Yeah. Dang it. Lost it. Dang it.
Bring it back, baby. You got it.
Oh no.
If
was
not,
so
I
good.
have the next one,
Okay.
dude.
Well, I was are you moving on to the next topic or because I did
Unless you have
Oh,
something.
I remember now. Okay, so Steven, I think that segmenting is just extremely powerful, but I also think that it's kind of difficult to pull off until you get really like you get a good system for it. So I'm curious, like when you
Yeah.
have these people coming in, how is it that you're segmenting? Because you had like two basically front end avatars that you're trying to figure out right away. People
Yeah.
who don't have a lot of money and want low startup costs, and people who do have money. So like, how are you figuring it out? How are you creating these segments?
Well, honestly, the two different avatars is a relatively new thing for us. So obviously,
Yeah,
if we're running ads directly to it, that's one side of it. But that's something I'll be even chatting to you guys about a little bit. We'll be figuring some of that out, right? But so I've
yeah,
had a couple of ideas on that, quizzes and stuff like that. Maybe that's how it'll go. But
yeah,
certainly, how it has always been before that was people came in on the opportunity of sell your own branded product on Amazon, and maybe that's how it always is. And then if they don't are not interested in that opportunity, we switch over to the other one. That's something I'm not sure of, but what I can tell you is when someone becomes a buyer of something with us, really we just lead. We initially just lead with the message, and then we build. If it's a webinar, we build a registration list of people. We just promote to that people raise their hand in the outro at that point, and then whatever
Yeah.
that is, they go forward there. So that's one simple way. I mean, I don't think we tag people from what they buy, and certainly from time to time we will do like only promote to that one segment. But a lot of times,
Mm.
we just keep it pretty simple. We just say, look, the message is the thing that's going to attract the right person. We put it out there
Yeah.
because I think I see too many people overly segmenting, overly thinking about it, and
Yeah.
then nothing happens because it's just too complicated.
So you basically then you let your message do the work. You're like basically like, hey, if and this is an exaggeration, hey, if you're broke as fuck, this isn't for you. And then if people raise their hand, that's kind of them signaling to you that they are not broke as fuck. And then you create a segment for the promotion based off that.
Yeah, basically, and then sometimes we have it now where right now as we speak, there's people in our recurring coaching program who are paying recurring coaching for the wholesale model and
Yeah.
separately paying for the private label model. That's happening right now, which is interesting. But it's because they want to go down that route. They want to do these different things. It's the same platform. They know they can be faster over here. That's my long term thing. I want to get it up and
Yeah.
running. I think we kind of have to look at this, guys, and think like, if you go to college or something like that, it's the old example, right? Like in the US, especially, it's pretty chunky. So like, and even if you
Yeah.
were going to buy like a franchise or something, it's multiple six figures. So even our coaching programs, when done right and have the right service in them,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of the business world, they're pretty inexpensive.
Oh yeah. No, I agree fully. Matt talks about that all the time. And just I feel like I should put this out there. If anybody from Marketplace Superheroes is watching, obviously Steven never talks about you guys that way.
No, no,
Doesn't
no.
say things like broke as fuck. You gotta realize that this is the
That's
rowdy
only
They know me.
Devin.
this is the Rowdy Boys podcast. I don't think
Don't
that way
worry.
about my customers either. It's just that look, I have a persona to put on here. I'm supposed to be rowdy. But nobody actually
Don't
considers
worry.
their customers that way. Well, some
No,
people
no,
probably do,
the
but it's not
guys
us.
in our community know. They know.
Okay, so this is the last thing I wanted to ask you about your whole Ascension process, and then I think we got if we have time for it, we have a few more questions for you. But
Yep.
something that I've noticed, so Steven has been in affiliate for our offers at Scup, and we had a 997 offer, and I think Steven had like a 50%. The first time we ran the webinar, I think like 50% of the people who were on live bought, and we did like over six figures in sales with just a few hundred people. We're not talking about I think it was less than even 500 people on the webinar, right? It was a 997 product, and I'm pretty sure we did like $130,000 in sales live. Now, the, what I've noticed just from being an outsider looking in at your business is you guys have just, you get these raving fans, you're transparent with them and all that, but you're also really good at building a community. Like this is something that I've been trying to model off you guys. You're just absolutely crushing with it. And I think, having that community, having that trust is really what allows you guys to get conversion rates like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you recommend something, your customers trust you and they buy it. Like, I'm pretty sure you could just go in a room and be like, guys, I have something for you. And you wouldn't even tell them what the offer is. And they'd be like, all right, I'll buy whatever. Right. So like when it comes to building a community like that, what are the steps that you're taking? I mean, is there a blueprint? How do you guys do it so well?
Mm. Well, one of the main things we brought in was like a weekly show, and certainly during COVID, that's a stream that we do, by the way, in our
Yeah.
Facebook communities specifically, and we do it every single Wednesday at 4 o'clock. It used to be called Win Your Wednesday. It's now called the Wednesday Wealth Show. And during COVID, we had unbelievable amounts of people come to that. Like we literally would have
Yeah.
250 people. Like it was ridiculous. Like just people were at home and we were there inspiring them. We were streaming a lot. We were there talking and like, look, it's still possible to be successful, etc. Just being there. And so I think that was one big thing. Nowadays, we don't have as many people come live because people are back working and again and stuff like that. But when we do promote it, and we put the effort into like having something on there that's very interesting and all of that, we will have 150, maybe 200 max on there, which is still excellent.
Yeah.
And they're all people who bought something from us. We don't always sell something there. We hardly ever do. Usually what we're doing is we're looking at, well, what are the beliefs that our clients have that are stopping them from being successful? How can we break those beliefs, and how can we rebuild them? A little bit like you do on a presentation or a webinar or whatever. But it's important to keep that going, like to keep breaking those beliefs, rebuilding them, showing people that there's more is possible for them. And that's certainly one big thing we've done that's built community. Again, transparency and trust, like I talked about at the very top. That can go both ways, by the way. Like we've had it. Certainly once we promoted a product. We don't do too much affiliate stuff. We promoted one product before, and it really backfired on us. People didn't like it. They were not
I think
happy.
I know which one. We won't say it.
Will not say it. No, because I know.
I think I
do know
promoted it
you guys.
too.
It was the beard course. The build a beard,
Yeah,
get your wife on board course.
exactly. But
Lots of refunds.
but it didn't go well, and people weren't happy, and that really was really disappointing for us. And that sucked, and all of that. So you lose some of that trust at that point in time, because unfortunately those guys failed us in there, which happens, right? So there's that, and then I suppose we even have with our freight company. We asked about struggles earlier on. I mentioned those big freight rates changing. That was really tough. Like we had to change a part of how clients worked with us in order to keep that freight company going. So like we actually pre-sold freight space to people, and we said, look, we're not going to be able to enable you to use all your freight space right now. It's just not possible. You can use half of your order with your old price, and then top it up with a new price on the other half, which really annoyed some people. But like we came out with so many dreams. Like, guys, this is a pandemic. This has never happened in the history of the world. And I can tell you, I'm happy to say, look, I'm not happy, but we were losing like hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this. Like, and we couldn't keep doing it. So we had to just tell our community, look, you're probably going to be unhappy with this, but there's nothing we can do. And the thing was, you literally could not get the freight rates we were still offering outside of our community.
Yeah.
Impossible. It was still way better. But it doesn't matter to some, right? So like that's the side of this too. When you really put yourself out there, you really build trust and transparency, it can go the other way. And I like to think, like, as much as I can, I just come out and talk about it. Even the freight thing, we just came out and we had loads of clients going, guys, this is the thing that makes me trust you even more, because you're just telling us exactly what's going on. So that's a big thing. And I would also say something that people don't often talk about is give people a reason for everything that you're doing. So like, in other words, one of the things that I do is I explain, well, why am I offering you this coaching thing? Why? What's in it for me? Because if you don't tell people what's in it for you, you've left that unsaid. I know people they're thinking, oh, what's in it for them? I bet they're making loads of money. Because when I explain to people, actually, hey, there's this thing. Here's what's involved in that. Here's actually the costs that go into that. We're not making all the money. We need to pay coaches over here and all this. People kind of go, oh, okay, fair enough. And even today, I literally said to people, is that food for you offer I mentioned? I explained we make the money here and here, and we have to, or we can't offer it to you. So then people go, cool. And I say, if you're not happy with us making money, no problem. This is not for you. But I'm telling you now, this is what's in it for us. So they're just some of the things.
Yeah. So I think that's awesome, by the way. And the way that I've explained this in my company, because I've tried to talk to them about what you guys do before. And I'm trying to get, I try to get my team on board to be more like you guys, because what can I say? I look up to you. But the way that I explain it is it's like you have a goodwill bank, right?
Yeah.
And when and your customers are the account. And what you're doing is you're constantly just depositing a little bit of goodwill. You're never withdrawing. You're just depositing a little bit of goodwill, being honest, being transparent, being trustful, always delivering on what you say you'll do, blah, 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 blah. And then sometimes when things go wrong, right, which like the affiliate promo or whatever, the freight stuff goes wrong, things go wrong. You're going to have bad experiences. But because you've built up so much goodwill and you've shown them that you care about them and you've shown them that you're there for them and you've shown them that you always have their best interest in mind and at heart, that when those things do go wrong and you have to take a little bit of deposit out, some of that goodwill's gone. Because if you've accumulated so much over the years, it's not that big of an impact because you've built your balance up so high that, it affords things like that. However, with people who don't really treat their customers that well and they're taking a lot of withdrawals all the time, then eventually, you hit a point where that balance goes negative. And then
Yeah.
your customers are like, fuck you. This is the worst money I've ever spent. I'm calling my credit card company. I used an
Yeah.
Amex, bitch, and they're going to give me all my money back. So something like that. But
Well,
I think you guys crushed that really
yeah,
well. Now, I've been talking for what's up?
you gotta be real though, just real quick, you gotta be real and genuinely,
Yeah.
whenever I've come on, had to deliver bad news, like, there's almost tears in my eyes, like, I mean, even I'm getting emotional talking about it now because I give a shit so much, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I know this is not good. I know you're not gonna be happy, and I just gotta come out and tell you exactly what's going on. But I think sometimes I actually don't know how some people, like, sleep at night because
Oh,
they're not upfront with their clients. They don't give a shit. And you got to be careful. You got to be incredibly careful with that because it's the internet. And I mean, I'm surprised some people are still active on the internet with the things they do.
yeah.
Because like things get around, you know.
No, I agree fully. And I've always told my business partners, and I'm sure you feel this way too, that we probably could make a lot more money if we were shittier people. But
Sure.
it is what it is. It's like it's a trade-off. Do I want to sleep at night or do I want to make good money over a long term? Right. And that's a good
Yeah.
point too. Is like one's a long-term strategy, one's a short-term strategy. Right.
Exactly. I mean, people put up big numbers. Sometimes you see these launches, they'll put up big numbers, but uh, you don't see the long-term effects of those. There's a lot of, you'll make a lot more of the long term doing have a trust base, building a community because you can sell these people over and over for years as opposed to having one big launch that can brag
And you
about
don't
one
deliver
time,
on.
right?
I want to. Can I pick up one other point on that as well? Just I think it will be
Yeah, of
helpful to
course. Yeah.
listeners. So we're promoting somebody's program at the moment. It's not launched yet. The campaign's just about to launch. But the big thing that I look for is if I am going to promote somebody else. It sounds like I promote people all the time, and we really don't. Just so happens we're talking about affiliate at the moment. But what I
Yeah.
do, a few things. Number one, if I'm going to promote it, I am going all out on it. As in, I am putting my reputation on the line to say this is something I absolutely recommend fully and completely. Here's why I recommend it. Here's what I think it can do for you. I also, as much as I can, try to tie that opportunity as a stack, an opportunity stack, as Russell Brunson would call it, into what they're already doing. So it doesn't feel like this is the biggest problem. People feel like, you're switching me all the time in opportunities. Whereas when it can
Yeah.
feel like more, no, you can still do the thing you came here to do. Here's why I believe this addition, how it's going to help you from a skill base, how it's going to help you from an opportunity base. What are the other things you can do with this? And really open people's minds. And I learned this from a pretty smart guy. I was mentored for a little while by Jay Abraham, and he talked about that. And I asked him, like, how, because he was talking about this idea of you can sell other people's products and all that. And I'm like, how do you do it and make it make sense? And as he said, his thing was, well, explain to people you don't want them to be one dimensional. You don't want them to only have a small skill base. You want them to have a bigger skill base. And when you position somebody else's thing as a really good addition to the person, explain why, they can make up their own mind then. They can go watch the training, they can see what they think. And if they really like it, they'll go into it and they'll do it because they're interested. And your endorsement helped. But that's a really important point. Try and tie it into what you're doing in some way.
And on the first part that you said too, you said you go all in and you put like your whatever reputation on the line and like you really recommend it. And you actually go a little bit further than that too, because for instance, when you promoted our course, you went through it, you started implementing, you started selling, you actually did everything. It wasn't just like, oh, like a lot of people do, like, oh, that sounds like a good product, I'll promote it. Like you literally
Yeah.
went in, you tried it out, made sure it worked, and basically case studied how it worked for you before you even went in there. So it's like you're actually making sure that this makes sense. It not just as a business, but it makes sense for your customers by trying it yourself, which
Yeah.
is more than like 99% of people, usually including myself, actually do. So that right there is massive as well for building trust and like, putting yourself out on the line. Like you're
Yeah.
taking the time to make sure this is good for them. And that does have to really help and build a lot of trust.
Yep. Yeah. And I got bad news for anybody listening, right? this stuff takes effort. It takes a little bit of effort. You're not going to be all day doing it. It does take effort.
Well, I think anything great, anything that's gonna be great or last a long time is gonna take, consistent long-term effort, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have, like, little pops of success every once in a while with a little effort, that can happen, but anything real long-term that's strong, hold up for a long time, it takes that, so,
Yep.
um, I
Yep.
got just a couple more questions if you still got time, Steven.
For you guys, I always have time, of course.
Nice,
That's so
nice.
sweet.
Okay.
Rowdy boys.
2 questions. Number 1, one of the big fears that everyone has right now, I mean, we've been riding up this bull market for like the last, 10 years or whatever. And,
Yeah.
some people did really good in those years and makes you feel like you're amazing. But there's a good chance that we are going to be in some strange times coming up pretty soon with the recession, especially like in the US. Um,
Yeah.
the question is, how are info markets going to change? Are they going to be, or business opportunity markets specifically? Are they going to be better because people are looking for more opportunities? Are they going to be worse because nobody's spending money? What do you think about that? And how are you preparing if you're changing anything? What does that look like for you?
Well, all I can tell you is this, right? COVID hit, in case anybody didn't remember, right? That happened. Yes, that was not a nightmare. That happened. And when that hit, I don't know about you guys, but I was like, "Holy shit! What's going to happen here?" I mean, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, then the numbers hit. 3.2 million people in the US lost their jobs. Remember the graph? It was literally a straight line. I was like, "Holy crap!
Yes.
This is really serious. Like this is who knows?" So we were just like unsure. But then what happened was we had the biggest, 2 years, year and a half in our company's history during that time. Like you can literally see our graph. We call it the Batman graph. Maybe your guys is not like a Batman, but ours is a little bit like a Batman. It goes up, kind of goes like that, and it goes like that, and it keeps going like a Batman sign. Well, like the top of his helmet. But we're
Yeah.
working on smoothing that out a little bit. But anyway, so the point is though is that like you just see it, and our business just went up here and stayed up here at a new level for a lot of that, and it has come down a little bit now since then. Because it was kind of like you said, Clayton. Even if you look at the bull market, it's almost like the top of the bull market. Then especially in crypto,
Yep.
it was the top of the bull market too. So I would say like if you look at that, we're not going to have the same level of unemployment as we had during COVID, like because I don't think 3.2 million people are going to lose their jobs. Maybe they will, but I don't think so. But what I would say is that in times when people are out of work, like if it's a business opportunity, like they're going to go and look for ways they can make money. And if you've got a process that's really reliable, and let's face it, that is going to be, relatively low startup to get involved in, is going to be relatively low risk, etc. You're going to do well, but you're going to have to build a lot of that trust and transparency that we're talking about, so people can trust in what you're saying. You've got lots of case studies from successful clients. You've got goodwill around the internet. You're on plenty of podcasts talking about it, so people can see you're a well-respected expert in that area. I think those people will do fine. I actually looked back to like the old Dan Kennedy stuff and all around the times of the recession just to see what was going on there. And if you actually look at the book The Sticking Point Solution by Jay Abraham, a very good book, he really talks about the fact that during recession it can actually be the best time for some businesses, because think about it, right? Let's take someone who is like take crypto as a good example, right? So like during the boom of the crypto market, all these crypto guys would have no interest in talking to you or me because they were making so much money. They were flying high. I don't need you. I'm flying. This is never going to end. Look at those crypto guys right now. They're not feeling the same way right now, okay? And I don't wish any ill will on anybody, of course. I'm just saying that changed. And I think it's kind of like, in here, it's the same vibe is I think going to come down the line. But for me, I think the point I was going to say there was that now you could speak to that crypto person and they might promote what you're doing, or they might talk to you because
Yeah.
they're doing well. how many other industries are like that they were doing well? They need a way to make money now. Their distribution channel is not successful. And if you or I can come in with something that does work, that aligns with them, we can be successful. So I think, like, for me, it's like, go back and study like Jay Abraham stuff and people like that who've been around the
Yeah.
block, because they've got the time tested material that's going to help us thrive. And yeah, I mean, you're going to be somewhat, you're going to be looking at it. And of course, we're all looking at it. But there's a great quote I'll leave you with on that point, which is in the Success Principles, one of my favorite books, Jack Canfield. And it was a story of this guy. He ran an auto dealership, and I think he's a Lexus auto dealership. And he said, "There's a recession, but I'm not participating." That was his thing. And so he like drove the cars to a location, parked them there, made them like did different things with the cars where people would see them, and he did really well. So I think it's like, if we can look at it that way, we're not going to participate,
Yeah.
we're going to respond, and we'll do okay.
Yeah, I think in Grant Cardone's book, I don't know if you've read that, Stephen, but the 10x principle or 10x rule, whatever
Yeah.
it is, he tells that essentially the same story, like, right? And it's the same thing Warren Buffett says: when others are fearful, that's when you double down, triple down, 10x down, whatever. And then when others are greedy, that's when it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
just like the
Well,
crypto guys, right? Like when they were getting like, oh man, this is gonna happen forever. This is the best, right? And then it all came crashing down, right? So, and it was the same story with COVID, right? Like everyone backed off. You guys did what? You doubled down, and that's the same thing we did, and it worked out really well. So,
yeah.
I
And by the way,
think you're
just a
spot
quick
on.
aside,
I'm Wholesale.
I'm still a fan of crypto, just to be clear for anybody
Yeah.
who's like listening. I still believe that crypto has a long-term future. I'm more talking about these guys who would never speak to you during the crypto boom. That's all.
Yeah. Well, Clayton?
Yeah, I got one more.
Go
So
for it.
one of the big things that we have about the Rowdy Boy podcast, we love the tactics and stuff. You got to have tactics to pay the bills, but at the same time, that's not the whole picture. You got to have the personal development side, because if you don't have that, it's hard to execute the tactics. So I think this is a great one to leave off on is, in order to build a business, like a great business like you have, clearly you have to develop some internal strength. And a lot of times, people, to be able to get to where you're at, they build up a lot of internal strength. So I'm curious if you would shed some light on maybe a particular story or realization, or maybe one of your top mindset core success philosophies that
Yeah.
really power you through to get to where you are. What kind of message would you put out to somebody out
Mm.
there?
Well, I think you got to I love that book, The Success Principles, that I already mentioned. The number one success principle in that book is you got to take 100% responsibility, right? And that can sound like a little bit of a cliche, maybe, because people have probably said that before. But I think when you ask yourself, do I take 100% responsibility? That's the real question, because a lot of people will say it's a great idea. Oh yeah, I'm on board with that. And they're blaming like all these other people. They're blaming this. They're blaming the economy. They're blaming that. And it's like, no, like you can't do that. You've got to take that full responsibility. Your success, your failure, quote unquote, which we'll get to,
Yeah.
it's down to you 100%. Like, and that's just how it is. So that's the first one. I think something else.
Is there a time that you had to tell yourself that?
Oh, I still, look, for those of you watching, like I'm doing this thing today. It's a personal development thing, a program I just enrolled in, because there's aspects of my life even now. I'm like, I could be doing a lot better in this part of my life. So I'm checking myself constantly, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm not a 10 out of 10 in every aspect of my life. I wish I was, but nobody is. And anybody who says they are 365 days of the year, they're full of shit. They really are.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there who can just be relentless in every aspect all the time. All we can do is understand this, which I really like, is that life is a process of recommitment. So you're constantly recommitting to different things that you're moving away from. Shit, I got to get back and recommit to that again. Get that going. There's some things will more easily flow for you as they do for me. Like the work aspect of my life, I'm very good at. I know I can do it. I know I can be successful. Then, nutrition, not so good. Not the worst, but I could be a lot better. So I would say that. Then, I mean, my other thing I'll just tell you is that I have like a force of will that I've developed over the years that I am just gonna get there. And there's no two ways about it. Like, I mean, it's just happening. And that's how it's going to be. So even now, I talk about the front end of our business, rebuilding that. My team are currently seeing me in full flight with that right now. I am just every day I'm in getting stuff together, getting stuff done, just putting the team on my back and just going, let's go. Because that's just something I think Robert, my business partner, helped develop in me
Yeah.
when I first got into this. And so my last point I will say, I could talk about this all day, is you need other people. Like, you need mentors. Genuinely. If there's people you can go learn from, pay the money. Devin already talked about examples. Clayton the same. Like, we're all learning from people. I got to tell you just real quick that whenever I go to these events, the way they make those panels, the panels of people. I just something about that never sits right with me. There's all these people sitting there that think they've got their shit together, and I'm going to tell you the answers. You can ask me, and I shall tell you all the answers. Right? I don't think life works like that. We all have things that we're good at. We can all learn from each other, but just know, like, if you got that force of will, you take responsibility for your life. You put really good people around you, and then you just hit it, and you just keep going, and don't let any idiot take you off track. You're going to go off track, recommit. I'd say they're all very important things.
And that's perfect. And like, if someone wants to learn from you, I think this is a great time to start plugging.
Where's the link?
Where can they go to learn from you and have you be a mentor?
Well, look, obviously we talked about Marketplace Superheroes. Probably not a fit for most people, but if you want to even have a look at that, feel free. Check out our YouTube channel. Got a lot of stuff there. You'll see how we do what we do and all of that. We have a new business this year that I'm teaching a lot of these things that I have learned that we talked about today. It's called Grow My Reach. And so when you go there, growmyreach.com, you're probably going to see different things depending on when you land there, because we're obviously just working on a lot of that at the moment. And that's just, I got to just say, like, I love Amazon. I love everything it's done for me. I love the fact we're continuing to help people all the time. But, in this time, after working with now well over 10,000 clients and all that, I started the Amazon business because I was training business because I was frustrated with the level of training in that area at the time. And it's the same thing with Grow My Reach. Like, I'm frustrated by some of the teaching in this space. You guys are examples of people I really like and I think are fantastic, and more people should learn from people like yourselves. But even with myself, like, I mean, I'm tired of people having the same funnels, like the same messages, cookie cutter emails. It's like, I want to teach people how to become a top level marketer and to market your business correctly. So that's what Grow My Reach is all about. We're going to do it in various different ways, and feel free to check it out.
So to all you Rowdy Boys listeners, if you want to build a better direct response marketing business, or just, is it like strictly for info marketers, Stephen, would you say, or?
Well, currently, it probably will be the start, but I mean, I've applied this to accountancy practices, financial advisors, and they've just had their best years. So not necessarily.
Well, guys, doesn't matter. If you want to learn from Stephen more about what we talked about today, just go to growmyreach.com. All right, Clayton, it was a pretty fucking good episode. I think we got to do
this
like
is
the fist
amazing.
bump.
Thank you so much.
Wait,
oh wow, our hands disappeared.
Oh, there it is.
Stephen. Yeah.
All right, there we go. There we go. Okay, that's the Rowdy Boys fist bump. Now, for those who are still listening, I have a question. Haven't yet liked, commented, and subscribed. Clayton, this is your part.
What are you doing?
We haven't done that in a while, but we are curious about what are you doing. Obviously, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Apple Podcasts, same exact thing. Go subscribe and leave a review. If you're on Spotify, the worst podcasting platform because they don't allow you to type reviews, at least not that I know of yet, then you can just subscribe and hear more from us. Stephen, brother, thank you so much
for coming on, dropping these bombs, man. That was amazing.
Yeah, I'd chat to you guys anytime. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome.
And guys, make sure you go to growmyreach.com and learn more from Stephen. I've learned so much from him, and I've only been working with him for like the past year and a half, but it's honestly been life-changing. And, in my opinion, he's added at least an extra $1 million a year in revenue to Scup's business. And hopefully, we'll see how the rest of the year goes, but I'll be able to judge it, from last year's P&L. And at this point so far, I can say it's been a huge improvement. So Steven, just on behalf of myself and my company, thank you for everything you've done, and thanks for coming on the podcast, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. I love it.
All right.
All right. Is that it? Are we done here? All right. See you guys. Everybody, thanks for listening, and have an excellent rest of your day, night, whatever it is. Steven, you too, bro. Appreciate you. And Clayton, I'll see you at the end of the podcast because you're right next.
See you guys.